Real quick, I want to announce a couple of things. If you have time tomorrow at 4 o'clock, KXLY 920, I have been invited by Mike Fitzsimmons to be on his radio show. Dave knows what I think about Mike Fitzsimmons, so this is going to be interesting.
And he calls Ben Stuckert an idiot today on the radio, so we're on a good roll here.
Will there be other people there? Do you know what time?
Nope, just me and him. 4 o'clock, I don't know.
I can listen.
2 minutes, 3 minutes, really, till he kicks me out. No, it'll go fine, and I can behave and be nice. But I tend to say what I think, and I'll stand up to these guys. Mike has a habit of kind of beating up on people, and that's cool. I can handle that. I've been booed by 3,000 Tea Party guys at a rally. So once you get booed by 3,000 people that don't like what you're saying, it's good. I can handle anything. So anyway, 4 o'clock tomorrow, that's KXLY 920. It should be really interesting. And as a side note, one of the links on our Facebook page is to my buddy Chris over there, has a show on Saturday called Smart Investing that he and a guy named Mike Wren do. And we put a link on our Facebook site, and then they did a podcast of my interview that was on their show this weekend. So that's another thing that you could check out. Thursday, the Northeast Community Center is going to have a forum at 6:30. I know it's District 1. Somebody had asked, I think it is also the other people as well.
Council president, and I think that's it.
And mayor? No? Okay. They suggested other people will be there. So Northeast Community Center, 6:30 tomorrow will be very interesting. I love forums. I like a chance for people to sit down and be able to see all the different candidates, see what they like about you and don't like, and compare and contrast. And then finally, Saturday at noon, I'm going to be on my buddy Sharo's show, which is the Persian Hour, on KYRS 89.9 or 92.3 FM. I haven't done that in a while. And so that'll be at noon. It'll be really fun because Sharo is just this amazingly interesting person from Persia, and he does his show, the Persian Hour, but he and I will be able to kind of relate some of the issues that go on in other parts of the world to the same problems we have here, like unemployment and jobs and bad roads. These things happen all over the world. They don't just happen in Spokane. So I'm looking forward to that. So can I have a flyer real quick? Here's a handy dandy flyer for those of you that have not got one of these or heard my little spiel. When I go to a door, I knock on the door, like knock, knock, knock.
Hello.
Hi, I'm John Waite, and I'm running for City Council. I'm a small business owner, and I own Merlyn's downtown, and I have this idea of local business and local government working together better to create jobs and get the economy going. And then I get a blank stare, like that. No. And it usually goes pretty well. Most people, my whole gist is that we have to think local, we have to spend local, we have to govern local, and be smart locally as we spend all our money. And my other part of my thing is I think the state and the federal government is not going to be able to solve our problems. So we're going to have to really be smart and solve our problems here and be efficient locally, and in a way be kind of tougher and kind of demand things from the state and federal government as far as accountability towards how our tax dollars are being spent. Like as an example, 80% of the tax money from Spokane generally goes to somewhere else and is not solving problems here, is not going to not just police, fire, and roads, which are the main things, but libraries, social services, mental health services, good education systems, all that. And so my idea is that in the long run, and I'm idealistic, I think this should something we have to work on for like a decade, is that some of that money should come back to us so that we can solve problems and make decisions locally. So we've gone out and talked to people. In theory, I kind of added up and we've measured and looked online, and we have figured out we probably walked about 300 miles of streets. And it feels like it. From some of those hot days we went out, Susanna and Heidi joined us, and there were a couple days like we thought maybe we're going to lose somebody. we might have lost somebody. I don't know. I don't think we ever did. But it was hot and it's humid. But we walked more miles than anybody else in our race, and in fact we walked more miles than everybody else in our race combined. We've doorbelled more doors than everybody else in our race combined. We've raised more money than everybody else combined. And for you that have donated already, thank you very much for helping the cause. We've been hyper efficient and careful with our money, and are going to get right up through the primary and send out a mailer. And one last hit with the mailer, some more doorbelling, and then we're going to do a lot of sign waving starting next week, over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be out with big signs. We have the big cool signs if you haven't seen them yet. And we'll be on different street corners like Hamilton, Nevada, where else? Market, all those. And so you guys can join us and help with that. If anyone wants to volunteer or do other stuff, Erica has a list for volunteer people. We'd love to have you. As we're walking around though, the things that keep coming up, it's funny. The biggest thing is still, I think, roads and potholes.
Yeah.
Roads and potholes is kind of still the big winner, even above jobs in the economy. Jobs in the economy are running a pretty close second, I think, but roads and potholes. And I think that's because every day you get in your car and you drive around the streets of Spokane if you're going to work or, you know, go wherever you happen to go, and you realize how terrible the roads are in Spokane. And so they're like, well, how are you going to solve that, you know, Mr. Politician guy? And we have this idea that there are great solutions all over the world somewhere, and we want to have citizens groups, unpaid volunteer citizens groups, scouring the internet, looking at places like Russia and Finland and Buffalo, New York, and Montreal, Canada, and wherever else they have adverse weather conditions and they have the same problems, and see, are they doing things different? Are they solving problems different? And ultimately, can we do roads and potholes and then, of course, snow plowing in a more efficient way that people just haven't thought of? So we're going to try to bring the whole world via the 21st century and the internet back to Spokane. So that's one of our answers to how we're going to solve these things. They ask about jobs in the economy. I say it's going to be hard. Government can't do a lot. What I think I would like to see, though, is government look at every department, look how government deals with businesses like mine or building people, if you want to do a development, and try to find ways where they're slowing people down and making it harder for people to make a job, make a business, therefore creating jobs that we need for our community. And one of our examples is, one of our kind of supporters is a guy named Jerry Dicker, and he owns the Bergens building. And for a couple years now, he's been trying to develop that and turn it into like a retail service area on the bottom, maybe with like housing for the Gonzaga University or apartments or condos above. And it would be spectacular, and it would clean up this eyesore over there, and it would bring a lot of jobs and money to Spokane. And now going on 2 years, you can't make it work. The city, you can't get it together, you can't find like the right answers from the right people, or he'll get this answer from this person, and they'll be moving along and getting ahead, and then suddenly this department over here will say, no, that's wrong. And so one of my big ideas is when a business person or a developer goes to City Hall, you get an advocate, and that person is your person that you speak to. And you talk about all the things you want to do. Then that advocate's job is to go out and talk to the different departments, and it's his job and the department's job, or her, excuse me, that person's job to figure out all this gibberish and nonsense, or be efficient and make this work so that that person can solve all these problems. And it's not this business person that wants to have this project that can't make it work. It's the job of City Hall to make this work, and that person is your person. They work for you. And in theory, all these people that work at City Hall do work for us, you know. So I think that's a really good answer to some serious problems, because the goal, my goal, is to make Spokane as efficient as possible and make us be able to think local, create local businesses, be innovative, think about the internet, think about digital, bring new businesses to Spokane, bring entrepreneurs here, but not only that, keep entrepreneur people from moving somewhere else to create a thing and have them stay here. And so that's one of my desires, and that is probably going to be the hardest thing that I'm going to try to do, because I think it's very difficult. Because if it was easy, somebody would have been kind of working on that the past 30 years. And just for me watching the city for the past 30 years, things have just got rougher and harder and more difficult, and in some ways less functional.